What's up, Runaways? We are Matt and Cass, and for the last 2.5 years, we've been living full-time on the road.
First, we were traveling in our self-converted shuttle bus, and now we have this 1988 Tiger Astro Provan that we've reconverted to be our permanent home as we travel the world. Now, if you remember, about 8 months ago, we put out a video that showed the van how it was when we got it. So 1988 original. Today, we're gonna show you all the modifications we made and how we're now living in this awesome van.
Let's go check it out.
Now you might be thinking, what is that thing? I've never seen anything like that before. That's because they're super rare. We have production number 78, and of the pop top Astro van models, there were only about 800 ever made. Under the hood, we have Chevy's 4.3 liter V6. Now, while she's not raging with horses, she is pretty damn dependable. This is one of Chevy's most dependable and most common engines. Most common is a key part of that. As we travel all over the country and all over the world, we want something that's gonna be easy to find parts. Even if they have to be shipped in, they'll be easy for us to get them, and that's what this baby's gonna do for us. To get us to more remote places, we made several upgrades to make this Astro our little overlanding van. First, we lifted the van 3 inches in the front and 4 inches in the rear. We then got her some new shoes and put on 30-inch all-terrain tires. We replaced the shocks all around with Performance Bilstein shocks. After swapping to steel leaf springs, we added a rear airbag suspension, which allows us to adjust our ride quality depending on our weight and environment. Last, but certainly not least, we replaced the rear end with an Eaton Detroit TrueTrack limited slip to locking rear differential.
Off at the nose of the van with all the overlanding that we do and all the off-roading, it was so important that we got a full-size spare. So we contacted our buddy Michael at GarageBound in Chattanooga, Tennessee to help us custom fit this beauty. It mounts right into the frame of the van, so it's really sturdy. We got a full-size tire, she got a nice big nose, and she's decked out for the holidays. The first thing that makes our van pretty unique is obviously the paint color. While we loved the original Tiger paint, it was really in bad condition and it was peeling off everywhere. So we had to do something about it. To our longest project that we did on the van, it took us about 3 weeks to do, is we painted this beast. We actually rolled this paint on with an oil-based paint, just like we did with the bus. We scuffed it all first, got it primed, and then put the oil-based paint on it. It was a hell of a product, but we love it.
All right, so here we are on the driver's side of the van. I guess you could call it our utility wall. There's a few things going on. This is just the vent for the back of the refrigerator. Down here, we have a storage cabinet that holds a lot of stuff for us, extra oil. It has our dump hose, is that what you call them? Sure. An extension cord, our jack, and a few other things in there. Next up, you have our propane tank, which I also have our hose and an additional extension cord in there. Next thing you'll notice on this side is that we have these very bright off-roading lights. You'll notice that on both sides of the van and the back of the van, we have these. Now, these are for security purposes, but also just for working purposes. We can totally flood out all of the area around us at night. We had a little bit of a scare in Washington, and that made us reconsider some safety precautions. So being able to totally flood out the area around us helps. Also, if you're pulling in somewhere late at night and the road is a little rocky or uneven, you can flip them on so that Cass can jump out and spot for me. This doesn't really open, but it's back access to where the propane heater used to be, where we keep shoes and cleaning supplies now. And then you have our 20 amp plug over here. So that allows us to plug into somebody's house. And lastly, over here, we have our exit tracks. They're just like Max tracks. These are, I believe, designed in Australia and made in New Zealand. This is their premier level exit tracks. They mount right here to the side of the van, and we're super excited to hopefully not use them in Baja. So moving into our garage, this is our back rack made with 2 toolboxes. If you've been following along for a while, you saw the install of these, which was a pain, but probably one of the most important parts of our van, as it allows us to store everything that we need. So on this side of the toolbox, we have our inflatable kayak and all of our outdoor setup. So our table, our chairs, our mat, those are out right now, so that's why that looks empty. And then moving on to the right toolbox, you have all of our tools, our tire, our air compressor, extra caulking, some fishing supplies. A lot of stuff goes into this toolbox. On top of these boxes, you have our bike racks. Currently, we don't have our bikes on them. We have 1.3 gallons of extra gasoline that we can carry.
And he's like, well, you don't have any gas. How could you not tell me? We just passed like 20 gas stations.
We figure it's not a ton extra to carry, but if we were to run out, that can get us to go close to 20 more miles. We have our telescoping ladder, which has been super important. Extra 6 gallons of water on the back. We obviously covered up the original van lights, so we put in these LEDs on either side to be our brake lights and turn signals, and at the bottom you see our other floodlight.
On the passenger side of our van, we have our water tank fill and our plug-in for our external solar panel.
So over here is the custom Starlink mount that I made. I made this out of a telescoping flagpole. We originally had the Starlink just on the little mount that it came with, which is great, but can be a little inconvenient. So we telescope the rod up, click the Starlink in, and then run the cord inside. Something I did as a safety precaution, I didn't trust the little tightening grips of the telescoping rod, so I have these safety pins through each joint so that there's no way that the pole can collapse in on itself. So one of the most recent additions to our van is this awning. Really excited to have it as we're in sunny places a lot, and it kind of extends your outdoor living space. Something I want to point out is how we mounted this. Now this was a fun project for me. When you're self-converting or building things out, oftentimes there's not the right solution for what you're trying to do. So this is made to be more of a 4x4 awning for an overlander and like a forerunner, and the brackets that came with it are supposed to mount to like your overlanding roof rack. Well, we didn't have that option, and our roof pops up, so we needed something that would clear it. I used these 2x4 brackets. They're kind of like a lock that you would use on a barn door, so both of them would hold a 2x4 to keep those doors closed. Well, I was able to retrofit them to hold our awning up, but they're made out of heavy-duty steel, so we just spray painted them down, mounted the awning on, and they're working great so far. Now let's go set this thing up.
The first stop on our van tour is our bedroom. This is a cab over bed, which allows our living space in the van to be very big because our whole bedroom is up here. It's a little bit smaller than a full, so it gets a little tight up here, but we've gotten used to it. There's not a huge room between the bed and the roof, but to be honest, it feels like a little cave, and we actually have really enjoyed it. One of the biggest problems we found when we first moved into the van was making the bed and fighting over the covers at night. So our solution to that was to add a zipper right here at the bottom and a zipper over here at the side. So when we're ready, wake up for the morning, all we have to do is zip it in, and we can't fight back and forth with the comforters at night, which is really nice. Moving downstairs, we have our reading nook, our passenger swivel seat, and our bitchin' dashboard. So these seats are amazing. They're like recliners. They're just like so original. And when we saw pictures of this van, we just fell in love with the dashboard. You just like can't get that anymore, and it's just so cool looking. A good solution for garbage in a van can be a little bit tough, so we had a hard time figuring out the best way to do it. So we decided to put this little table in between our two seats, and you just lift it up. We have our garbage. We hold our cat's litter and cat's food in here as well.
All right, so the next stop on our van tour is our kitchen area. Now you'll see a lot of changes here from how the van originally looked. One of the biggest things is this extension of the actual cabinetry that you see here. The main reason for this extension was the original refrigerator was one of the propane electric old style refrigerators that fit in this area. So from here back and the entire height of it. We wanted something updated and a little more efficient, and we got a chest refrigerator. So the chest refrigerator goes right in here, and because that freed up this upper space, it gave us all of this room for this huge drawer, which is now the biggest area of storage in all of the kitchen. So we opted for Set Power's TC Pro series, the 68 quart. There's one size bigger than this, but we didn't think we were going to be able to make it work well in our space. But really, this works great for us. We find we can make it about a week for our regular rotational groceries while holding on to some condiments and other things like that. But we actually have a review for this, so you could check it out if it makes sense for your build. So another big change is the countertops that you see. These are pine countertops that we also face the cabinets with. So all the cabinet faces are new and the countertops are new. I just sanded them down, stained them, polyed them, and installed them in multiple pieces. They came out beautiful. It's actually one of the things I'm most proud of in this van. Something that stayed original that we just painted is this unit here, which creates our overhang over the stove, which also has 2 cabinets. The only real change we did to these was added a little shelf so that we can have things a little more organized within these cabinets, and then extended out this little custom spice rack here. We have lots and lots of spices, so like half of this cabinet is spices, this is spices, and you'll see another spice rack over there. Cooking is very, very important for us, so that's something that we focused on in our build, was making our kitchen super functionable. So yes, this might be the only espresso machine that you see in an Astro van. I am a coffee fanatic, absolutely love coffee, trying new coffees. So having an espresso machine was very important, and it fit perfectly in the spice cabinet that we made right here. Moving further down the galley or the kitchen area, you have our sink cover, and then another huge improvement to the van is a very, very deep sink with more of an industrial spray sink and nozzle here. Having a deep sink was important for all of the cooking that we do, because if you cook a lot, you're gonna have a lot of dishes. The original sink here was very shallow, so they wouldn't hold really even a big pot. So in order to fit that deep sink, we had to lose one of our drawers. That's okay, because we got that new giant drawer we showed you before, but this is now a fake drawer. Behind there is just our deep sink. In here, we have our 2 little tiny drawers, but they hold all of our knives, our forks, and our cooking utensils. So if you guys have been following along with us, you remember in our bus conversion, our first home on wheels, we had one of these awesome vintage camper stoves. It was like baby blue or sky blue, really neat. We loved that, and we wanted to make sure we incorporated something like that into this new build. And here we have I believe it's a 1954 Wedgwood camper stove. We wanted the triple burner and to have an oven. So on the inside of this, we have a lot of our cooking storage. This thing works awesome. Things were made differently in the 50s. I had to do a little refurbishing to get some of the rust staining off. I'm still working on a little bit of that, but otherwise this thing works seamless and we love it. The sage green color was also pretty awesome. Here is a cabinet that we added. This used to be the home of the propane heater that was original to the van, but we were partial to having a diesel heater from our experience having one in the bus conversion. So we ripped that out, cut into the cabinetry, and turned it into storage. It is the least cute storage we have in the van. I'll give you a quick peek and then close it right back up so that you don't get to look in there too long. This is one of the original cabinets in the van. It's really good. It's deep and has a couple shelves in it. So second to the big drawer that we made, this is our second biggest storage area in our kitchen. And the last thing to check out in the kitchen is our oil rack and an additional spice rack over here.
Moving over to our closet, was something that we actually spent some time thinking about how we were going to make this work and happen. So if you open it up, you can see up top, this is all of Matt's clothing with like maybe one or two of mine. But this is all of Matt's clothing. He preferred boxes in his, or little bins. And this is all of mine. So this is all that we own. I actually preferred those travel bags. And then if you come down to the third one, so we put all these shelves in, and if you come down to the third one, these are our pots, our pans, and to be honest, we hold a bunch of miscellaneous stuff all the way in the back, like Fogarty's backpack and different things like that that we don't use very often. We bring them all the way there. And the last thing that you'll see in here is our bathroom. So this entire closet used to just be a bathroom, but for us living full-time, that was not practical at all. Actually did keep the original cassette toilet that came with our van, and it works great. So we actually just go for liquids are in here, and then we have a separate scent-proof compost bin that we use for solids, but we also choose to go outside or in public restrooms when that is available to us. Behind that is our clear source water filtration system, and this allows us to filter water from anywhere, including lakes and rivers. So we've been very grateful to have that, because it's always a peace of mind when you're on the road. And lastly, you'll see here is some pan storage. This thing is tiny. I mean, like, we live in a very tiny space, so we had to make use of whatever we could. So we have 2 hooks because my husband wasn't getting rid of his big pan. So we have 2 big hooks there, our broom here, and then just some towels up here. Welcome to our living room, dining room, and guest bedroom. Starting up top, you see these open shelving cabinets. The original ones were really, really shallow and just had that little sliding door, and it just was not practical for full-time living. So we decided and spent a lot of time thinking about how we were gonna do this, making one huge big shelf and putting little baskets in to hold all of our different stuff. As you can see, right now our house is in living room mode. So we have the big L couch here, and the cushions are all original. It was actually one of the first things that like caught my attention about these rigs. I was like, the cushions are just money. Right here is our little coffee table, we like to call it, which is also Fogarty's litter box. Being in such a tiny space, we had no idea how we were going to put a cat and a dog and their litter boxes and everything in. So this little thing moves around. It's our step stool to get into bed. It's also our coffee table, and it just tucks right in the corner right here. Next transition of this space is dining room. So we just take this pole, put it in there, take our table, pop it down, and boom. Now we can either work or eat dinner. Next up for this space is guest bedroom. I'm gonna actually put you guys over there and have Matt give me a hand.
So here we are in our guest bedroom. Our couch pulls out into this bedroom. It's actually really comfortable, similar size to our bed, just under a full. But this doesn't only serve as a guest bedroom. Sometimes we want additional space for like a movie night, so we pull this out. Other times, if we're discreet camping and want to keep the roof down, or if we're going to leave really early in the morning and don't want to deal with dropping the roof.
Or it's really cold.
Or it's really cold. If it's really cold, we'll keep the roof down, because with the canvas, you lose some heat. This also serves as our second bedroom. We like it a lot, and it's, as you saw, pretty quick to convert from couch right into bedroom. So our couch isn't just a living room, a dining room, or just a guest bedroom. It is also a ton of storage. So we have storage all through here. Underneath this stuff is actually the box that we built for our diesel heater. We love the diesel heater. It keeps us very, very warm. A lot of people ask, do you get cold with the canvas? Not with the diesel heater. So that's key. We have our inverter over here, our electrical over here, and I am sitting on our fresh water tank. It holds about 22 gallons of fresh water. As you saw on the back, we have the capacity to hold an additional 6 gallons, so 28 gallon total water capacity. Here we are in our electrical cabinet. This was a really big challenge for me. In the bus, I had a big area to fit everything in, and here in the van, we did not. You saw how the inverter is separate from the rest of the electrical, but let's dive into everything. So we have our 3 100 amp hour lithium batteries. We have our DC fuse panel. We have the power cutoff for our DC power. Over here we have, this is a really cool charger to save space. It's both a solar MPPT 30 amp charger and a 30 amp alternator charger. Now this is built to decide which it wants to use, the solar or the alternator while the engine's running, but I built in an override with these two fuse switches over here. Moving on, we have our AC to DC charger by Victron. That's just a 20 amp, so just a small hookup. And we have our positive and negative bus bars. And as you saw over in the other part of the couch, we have a 2000 watt Renogy inverter. And powering this all is 300 watts of solar panels on the roof of the van and a separate 100 watt solar panel, external solar panel that we can kind of chase the sun with, that I have a plug into the side of the van for. Thank you guys for touring our 1988 Astro Tiger Provan that we converted into an overlanding tiny home on wheels.
We downsized into this van with hopes to travel the entire world in it. So we're very, very excited and happy that you're here.
And we plan to document all of our adventures on YouTube and Instagram, so make sure you follow and subscribe on both platforms. We are Runaway Matt and Cass, and we will catch you in our next video.
Bye.
Cheers, y'all.